It's motherfucking hump day. What up? What up? We're going live, man. We got my man Jimmie Rivera coming on. We got to talk about it because we got BKFC, man. My man's making his bare knuckle debut. So I want to get it from the man himself. So we're going to talk about it. Then we got Brad Kelly coming on after to talk about his fight coming up this weekend. So I'm going to bring my man Jimmie up right now. Jimmie, my brother.
What's going on?
Chilling, man. It's Wednesday night. It's hump day. I know you in the gym doing your thing, man.
Yeah, I did it early this morning. I'm shot now.
I bet, man. Yo, this is exciting, man, because, you know, as a fan of combat sports, obviously it's always cool to see fighters transition into different promotions. I think the bare knuckle thing is really cool. So to see, you know, UFC vets now transitioning into bare knuckle, it's always interesting to see how they transition in. So, you know, what made you decide, like, hey, you know what? I want to give this BKFC thing a shot.
I was a free agent. We were waiting on a couple things, and then, the contract, the kind of freedom to fight MMA still, and the purse, and working with Dave and having that game plan coming in was definitely a huge reason why I went with bare knuckle.
Yeah, man, because I've been hearing, I mean, obviously I'm not going to ask you how much you get paid, but I hear like, UFC vets are getting some good money, man. BKFC's throwing some good dollars at them. And
it's a good increase. It's well worth it, especially if you could box. I mean, if you're an MMA fighter that is more of a wrestler or jiu-jitsu guy, I would say don't do it. But if you could box, and you enjoy boxing like I do, go for it.
When did you get involved in boxing? Were you real young when you started boxing, or was it something that you eventually got into later on?
Well, I trained with Tiger Showman since I was about 8 years old, and I've been with him ever since. Even with this fight, training with him, and we always worked like each art form. I learned as a martial artist, so it was always boxing and kickboxing and MMA or jiu-jitsu, excuse me. And then at the end of the week or when we did our sparring rounds, we kind of put it all together and mashed it together. But, we always worked on learning how to do each art form by itself. And we did a lot of boxing. I did a lot of boxing prior to getting into UFC. And when I was in the UFC, we did a lot of boxing. So I did get to train with some awesome boxers and go in there. I remember one of the big names, Glenn Tapia, when he came back from a broken jaw, I did a couple of rounds with him nice and light. I mean, he's way bigger than me, but we just worked. It was a great experience. Another guy I trained with for a while until he stopped fighting was Kendall Holt. He was a three-time world champion, and he was good.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, you got that experience. So that's cool. You actually trained directly with Tiger Showman.
Yeah, with Tiger Showman. So this is Tiger Showman, but the main front runners that run the practices is Ron Showman, his brother, and Ray Velez is our boxing coach. Mm-hmm. And then, some of the fighters jump in and teach. We got Julio Arce teaches a class, Shane Burgos teaches class. I mean, myself, I teach a class. A lot of us have been around so long at this point now, we kind of know what we're looking for, even though we still, though, sit down with our coaches, get a game plan, watch footage, and go from there. At the end of the day, we're all on the same page of stuff. And, Ron Showman is very close watching by. So is my box coach, Ray Velez, when we're doing our rounds in train and stuff like that. Every Tuesday, Sean Showman teaches a class, and we do like an hour and a half, 2 hours of kickboxing. So we're on a close eye too. And, he might change some things or suggest things. Like when I teach class, he'll be there. He'll watch the guys. He'll suggest stuff, which helps too in a way, gives him some freedom. So he doesn't have to worry about teaching the technique. He could go around and help out, but he'll jump into and show some things as well.
That's badass, man. I remember training at Tiger Showman's in Brooklyn, man. I had a blast. I was there twice a day, man. I just enjoyed every moment of it. I thought it was just a great experience, much needed for me. Kept me out of trouble too, because I always like getting in trouble. But Showman's has been great. Actually, when I moved to Florida, I live in Florida now, and it sucked because the only one that they have is in Clearwater, which is like 3 hours from where I live. So I was like, oh
yeah, man. It's rough. It's rough. We had a couple, but then it turned into one, and now actually Shion Gary Hellman's kind of on his own doing his thing there, so he's not affiliated with Tiger Showman anymore. But yeah, if I had to suggest someone to go somewhere, I would suggest to go to that school if they're in Florida.
That's what's up. Yeah, I haven't been to that one, but next time I'm in that area, I got to go check that out, man. Just to see. That's badass, man. So, I'm excited, bro. I've seen your fights. You fought some of the best, Moraes and Jan. You've been in there with the best. Fantastic MMA record. So, and obviously a striker. So I'm super interested in seeing you transition into bare knuckle. Have you been doing? I mean, you know, you're a professional, but have you been doing anything differently in your training to gear up for this bare knuckle debut?
I mean, just working a lot more with small gloves,
Mhm.
just strictly boxing. You know, I was supposed to do a couple events. I was supposed to do Triad, and that whole event got canceled. And then I was supposed to fight Dat in my debut in May, and that got canceled. So I'm finally fighting Howard Davis, is the #1 ranked guy at 145. So it was a big fight. I definitely bring a little more experience to the table. I don't know his whole background in boxing, but I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of the guys we go to in boxing gyms, they're like 5-0 as a pro, maybe 4 knockouts, but they have like 120 amateur boxing fights. Like they have a lot of experience. So, you know, it's a definitely experienced guy. I'm going to give it to him. Just assume that he has that experience, amateur. And I'm looking forward to it. With training differently, you know, just sometimes not hitting the pads with gloves, hitting them with like wraps on, so I tear up my knuckles. A little different in training and sprinting and doing cardio stuff. You know, we're doing 2-minute rounds, so we kind of emulate the fight with that. Besides that's it. I think the biggest transition or the biggest thing that I look at is like I'm not really worried about getting hit. You know, the one thing that sucks is a lot easier to get cut and a doctor to stop the fight. But I'm just worried about my hands. You know, probably that's probably one of the biggest things. So when I go in there, it's really important to pick shots and not just throw. You know what I mean? I've heard stories. It's, you know, it sucks on your hands a lot, big time. So I think that's my biggest concern is, you know, throwing a shot and missing and like hitting the top of the head or something like that. Like it doesn't feel good.
No, and you know, I'm glad you brought that up because it's such an interesting dynamic to bare knuckle because you know a lot of people say, oh, it's like a street fight. Well, you know, I always tell people to slow down a little bit. It's not quite a street fight. You know, you're not
No,
fighting
there's
some.
rules. There's
There's
rules, and
rules.
it's not like a street fight, but it's
Yeah,
just, you know, you hit him with a bare knuckle. It's a little different. It's easier to cut someone where and hurt your hand compared to when you have a glove. It's a lot harder to get cut, and
yeah.
there's room for error. There's not as much room for error with bare knuckle. And then, you know, you think about it, you're just punching someone's face, and you're hitting bone on bone. I mean, it adds up on your hand and the damage and stuff like that. So no matter what, I assume I'm gonna come out of the fight with putting my hands in buckets and ice them down.
I've seen so many people do it, and you know, but the thing with bare knuckle, which you know, you have to have those calculated punches because when I see guys going in there swinging like maniacs, I'm like, here we go, because I just think it just defeats the entire purpose of this fight. Like, yeah, you could land that lucky shot, you know, you're throwing haymakers and knock a guy out, but you know, it's bare knuckle, man. You're gonna get hurt getting hit, and you're gonna hurt somebody getting hit. So when you throw and land those calculated punches, you're doing damage. You don't need to throw 50 punches around, and you can still do damage throwing half the amount, you know, and landing.
Yeah.
So Palomino is a good example. If I would have, you know, picked
Oh,
someone,
I love watching Palomino's fight. He's
yeah,
you know, what's cool is he's an MMA. So I study some of the guys, watched him and stuff like that. I started to become fans. Palomino definitely, you know, he's a big MMA guy in your record, but he went in there and he's doing really good. You know, 5 or 6-0 now
six
in
and
bare
zero
knuckle,
undefeated. Yeah,
and he's a smart fighter, very technical, very smart. Interesting to see that night. You know, when he fights at 65, I believe, for the belt, should be a good fight. Make interesting seeing that fight. You know, there's some big names coming back. I believe, you know, Chad is coming back and Paige Van Zandt. So it's interesting to see what they do. I didn't hear yet, but I'm assuming Rachel Ostrovich is going to end up coming back sometime this year too, probably. But it's really cool with the bare knuckle. Like you had the freedom if you want to do other things, you could. So with that said, you know, it's nice. It's interesting to see the MMA guys go in there and see how they transition as well, just to straight boxing.
they've been doing great. You know, we've seen. Well, we've seen a lot more MMA guys transitioning into bare knuckle than boxers, but you know, there are a lot of boxers too. But so far, the MMA guys have been very successful. You know, transitioning into bare knuckle. A lot has to do with the clinch. You know, that definitely plays a big role because you can't clinch in boxing. So we've seen people adjust really well from MMA. But you know, you got a guy like, you know, and who's very close to your weight class, Kid Gotti, Jared Grant. He's a straight boxer. He came in, he's blown people away 5-0. He's the 135 interim champ since Bedford's been out. So, you know, would you ever consider like jumping weights, or do you want to stay strictly at the 145?
No, definitely a consideration. I did this camp at 45 though, which was great because I didn't have to worry about so much cut and so much weight. You know, I walk around as a big 35er, so it was nice not to be able to have to cut so much. So I'm really enjoying that a lot. And I, it just feels so much stronger. When you start cutting weight, at a certain point, you only have so much fat, and you start to cut muscle. And it's a mental thing where you feel like, man, I'm fucking weak. I feel like, to be honest, I feel like a crackhead or something like that. I do a lot of drugs. Like when I walk out 35 and I make weight, I'm skin and bone.
Are you eating right afterwards, or like as soon as you make weight, you're like, all right, let's hit the restaurant?
There's a science to it. You can't just throw down food. It's all about rehydrating them properly. So there's a science in everything you do. And there's reasons why you do everything. So no, I'm not eating right away. Actually, I wait a couple hours before I actually eat.
Yeah, smart move, man. Especially, fighting at 135. That's what do you walk at?
When I was fighting at 35, I was walking around like between 55 and 60.
It's a lot of weight to cut.
Fighting at 45, I'm walking heavier than that. Walking heavier until I get in that fight camp, and then I start cutting gradually, and really it's just kind of cleaning up the diet and eating healthy.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, you got it, bro. You got to stay in shape. And this is also cool too. I mean, you're used to fighting 5-minute rounds, and obviously grappling. You're on the ground. You're stand up. Now we're just stand up, 2-minute rounds. Do you feel that you're already conditioned to fight?
I think it's such a faster pace that, the condition's there, but you have to be so explosive for the 2 minutes. It's like, it's a fast pace. I have a great training partner I'm training with. His name's Elijah. He's, I think, 5-0 right now, or 6-0 as an amateur with a mix of MMA and kickboxing. But he's just nasty. We used to have a camp that we held, and he was like, yeah, you beat me up a little bit when we were in camp. I'm like, Elijah, I don't remember you in camp. He's like, well, I was a little chubby and small. And I'm like, he's a big dude now. Howard Davis is a tall dude, and who I'm training with is kind of emulating Howard Davis. He's a big dude. So it's definitely a lot of help.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. You brought it up, but the height differential, guys like around our height, if we're going up against somebody taller, obviously, they have the advantage in stand up if they're properly utilizing their jab. But how do you feel about that height differential to you?
It's okay. I'm working on it. Been working on it nonstop for the past 6-7 weeks, leading up to this fight. So I feel good. Training with someone that has even a bigger reach than him. So it definitely, it's even tougher, dealing with an even longer reach. So I feel like I'm ready. I feel in great shape. I'm, knock on wood, just, almost there. We got like a week and a half left of training, and then it's fight week.
Yeah, man, it's coming up quick. June 24th is right around the corner. And that's a tremendous card to be on too, because, like we said earlier, you got Palomino and Brito going at it for a potential, Palomino has potential to become the first ever double champ in promotion history, which I find very interesting. And he fought Brito already. So that I think it's going to be a really good, entertaining fight. And then the other fights that are on the card. I mean, there's a lot of big fights on the card in general. So it's nice to see you coming on board on such a big card on a big stage in Hollywood, Florida. Are you excited about that atmosphere at the Hard Rock?
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to be there. It's Davis has hometown advantage, but it would be my first time. I remember fighting Pedro Munoz in my first fight with him, where I won, and it was tough going to Brazil. I mean, Florida's a little bit better than Brazil. Heading to Brazil, and he's a homeland Brazilian, and they fucking hate you if you're not Brazilian. They're literally cheering "You're gonna die" in Portuguese. So I don't mind getting boo. "You're gonna die" is pretty drastic, but yeah. So I've been there. I've done it. Doing it again. I'm just really looking forward to get back in and competing.
It's going to be great, man. So your opponent, Howard Davis, obviously, how do you think this fight's going to go down for you? Obviously, if I took a crystal ball out right now,
I can't tell you. It all depends. Okay. Like everybody asks me that. What do you think? This and I'm like, it all depends how Davis fights. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You gotta feel it out and see how that person fights and go from there. I mean, people want to stay in the pocket. It's an exciting, fun fight. People want to, keep the distance or use the reach, which, smart for them to use the reach or, stay out. And it's a more technical fight. You can't run in. You see people run in. Like even his last fight, the dude he was fighting, running in. And it's just a common thing you teach. If someone comes in without punching, you're going to get hit. You can't be doing that.
Yeah,
You know.
especially coming straight in too. That guy wasn't even angling or anything. He was just coming straight in and getting tagged.
Yeah.
That was an easy fight for Howard Davis. I was actually there
It was
live
a little.
watching that.
I think it wasn't as easy. It definitely was a tough fight. You know, he did drop Davis with a jab.
He did. That's
And,
true. Yeah, that's true.
but
Good point.
you know, you keep running in, it just takes that one time.
Yeah.
You know, so he hit him with a nice like right hook, and that was it. I was surprised. Like it was hard, but you know, again, like I'm not in there. I didn't take the shot. I don't know if he broke his orbital afterwards or what it was. You know, it looked like right on the orbital bone, and he was just kind of done after that. That was the end of the round. I think it was like third round, I want to say.
Third round.
Second or third.
Second. Yeah, I think it was second round actually. Yeah. I think that fight ended in the third, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah.
Third round TKO. Yeah, he was done. Got the 10 count. That was it.
Mm-hmm. What were some of the fights? Like, I'm always interested to know, like, what people like as far as like you're coming into fight, but which fights have you watched that you're like, yo, I'm a fan of this? Like, yeah, this is one fight that I saw. Like, holy
and
shit.
Bare Knuckle, I've seen a couple of Palomino's fights. Big fan. I saw Mike Perry's fight, obviously, and thought he was doing great. And then, you know, towards the end, he was getting hit unnecessary. Like Mike Perry, we know he's a tough motherfucker. He'll take your shots, keep coming forward. But I think, you know, if he just kept his, you know, defense that he was doing in the first two rounds, like he would have been even, you know, it would have been even less damage on him. But again, he's going in there. He's putting on an exciting show with fans. It's Mike Perry. That's how it is. Fucking exciting fight. Chad Menden's fight. I thought that was a good fight. A lot of people doubted him. You know, I think as an MMA fighter, you know, or just a martial artist in general, if you go from MMA and go boxing, if you can't box, man, you know, I've been to boxing gyms like, oh, he's an MMA fighter, we're gonna fuck him up. Then afterwards, they get respect. Like, wow, you can box. And I'm like, yeah, you know, we're not like the MMA fighter that relies on kicking or takedowns and stuff like that. Like, you know, we work on everything. So, with that said, I think it's going to be an exciting night. And I can only promise that I'll go in there and fight. I can't promise if he'll stay in the pocket. I can't promise if he'll, you know, keep the distance. I can't promise that. All I can say is, you know, I'll go in there and fight.
Hell yeah, man. That's just going to be an exciting fight. You're an exciting fighter. He's an exciting fighter. So obviously for the fans win automatically because I think it's going to be just entertaining in general, no matter which way it goes. Now, how many fights did you sign with BKFC?
I'm not sure.
My man just wants to fight. He don't give a shit.
No, I let my manager handle that. You know, I think one of the biggest attributes why I fighting with them was it's, you know, I could entertain doing MMA as well still, or maybe even a boxing match, which is really cool. That's why I love working with Dave Feldman and the promotion with that. So that's all I can say.
That's what's up. No, I appreciate it. And, you know, the 145 division, they have not established the title yet. Was there any discussions behind the scenes like, hey, you know,
this fight, and there's another one, I believe, in July. They're both number one contender fights. And the winners fight for the belt.
Hell yeah. Now we're talking. Now we got some gold on the line. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so it's like cool. That's one of the biggest things too. Attributes was speaking to Dave, and you know, there's a plan on going in. You know, it was tough in the UFC, a little frustrating because I'm like, all right, how many more fights do I have to win to get a title shot? And I fought the best, and you know, my losses come from people that, you know, Sterling and Jan, who are the champs. You know, Marlon Moraes is the number one contender. So, you know, it's not like a fight and, you know, fought nobody's there. You know, I beat a legend, beat up a guy, you know, that I looked up to, that brought up the division's favor. So, you know, I'm looking forward to the fight. I don't think once you get to the UFC level, or even, you know, any other level, that the competition gets easier. It just gets harder.
True that, man. You level it up. You know, there's always going to be somebody that's bigger, better, and tougher. You just got to prove, you know, that you're worth at that point. And I think this is great. Did you find out the other who's fighting on the other card for the 145? Like,
no, not yet. I believe it's in July, but I'm not sure yet who it is. I'm sure I'll find out afterwards, you know, but I'm not really focused on that. I'm really just focusing on the task at hand, fight at hand, you know.
Of course, man. I'm just trying, you know me. I'm trying to get that info. You got it, bro.
I don't know. I'm not worried about it. I'm sure I'll find out, and then I'll watch the fight, you know.
That's what's up, man. I'm excited for you, man, and I want to thank you for joining me today, just to get the word out, and we can help build this fight up, man. I'm really looking forward to it. June 24th, you and Howard Davis, 145 division for a contender spot. I think that's an awesome fight, man. So
Thanks
thank
a
you,
lot, man.
man.
Appreciate it.
I
No,
appreciate you.
anytime. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I look forward to the fight. I'm not a big trash talker. I just like to go fight. I like to go in there, and there's been fights that I fought Dotson at 35. I heard he just signed too. When I fought him, it wasn't like he fought Jan. He was more in the pocket. Instead, he was, I had to chase him a little bit. It was a little harder of a fight, a lot more technical. So, I look for the fights. A lot of the fights I've had, even my last fight in the UFC was Pedro Munoz. I thought I took first and third, but judges always see it a little differently. I guess with the leg damage, definitely lost a second. I'll take that. But at the end of the night, I didn't get the decision win. Pedro did, but we got fight at night. It was the most exciting fight on the card, so it's definitely worth it. And it was awesome to be part of some memes and about how is Jimmie Rivera still doing it. Connor couldn't do it. Like that was one of them. There was a couple out there. That's the one I remember like right off the top of my head. So it was fun to be part of some memes, and it was fun. Like Pedro, the first fight he really got in my face and all this stuff, and then backstage he's like, hey man, I'm just trying to sell the fight. I'm like, dude, we don't have to do it. Like some people have to sell a fight and they might not be excited out there. Some people are excited out there and like to sell the fight, like a McGregor or right. Henry Cejudo, you can say too. I'm just a man like, oh, here, all right, good luck. Yeah, all right, go out there, let's beat the shit out of each other.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, but all business, man. I like it, man. Leave it all in the ring, and that's old school, man. That's why like I grew up a boxing fan as well, and Holyfield was one of my favorites because he wasn't a trash talker either. He just went in there, he did his business, he was very respectful, but the fans loved the guy for it, So there's always
I just go in there fighting. I'm looking to have fun, I just want to get back in there and compete again. It's been a little too long for me, and just decided something's going through now. We're about 2 weeks out, 2.5 weeks out, and we're good. I'm like excited for it, so ready.
Yeah. I'm ready, man. I'm gonna see you fight night, my brother. I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, man. Have a good one.
Likewise, my brother. You too.
Take care.
Yo, Jimmie Rivera in the house. Much respect to this guy because he's a good dude and he's a hardworking dude, great fighter, and he likes to get down to business. Actually, one of the Facebook users said it best: "No talk, all action." That's right. Sometimes it's got to be done like that, right? But I like shit talking too. I like when people talk shit. That's a lot of fun.